Okay. Good afternoon. This open meeting of the Board of Appeals is being conducted hybrid pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Town of Nantucket Board of Appeals is convening by both video conference via Zoom app and in person as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Please note that some attendees are participating by video conference. Accordingly, please be aware that other people may be able to see you and your computer, so please take care not to screen share your computer. All supporting materials that have been provided members of this body are available on the town's website unless otherwise noted. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Okay. So we'll call to order this special meeting of the Town of Nantucket Zoning Board of Appeals this Wednesday, July 17th at 1:04 p.m. Would someone make a motion to approve the agenda as drafted?
So moved.
Okay, so John Brescher has made the motion and Michael O'Mara has seconded that motion. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, that motion carries. Okay. Next, we have public comment. This is an area on the agenda it's reserved for items not listed on the agenda. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to come forward and give a public comment on something that we're not going to discuss today? No. Is there anyone online?
No.
Okay. Seeing no speakers, we'll move on to the election of officers. The board currently for officers, we have a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. Pardon me. I myself, Susan McCarthy, serve as chair. John Brescher is serving as vice chair, and Elisa Allen is serving as secretary. Are there any motions or suggestions for how we move forward with officers? Any changes? Would anyone want to volunteer for any position? Yes, Michael.
I'd like to nominate the 3 existing members. I'll be happy to do it one at a time, depending on what you prefer. I think in terms of continuity, these are busy times at the Zoning Board of Appeals, probably the busiest ever. I just think that to change places now would not be in our best interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else on the board have any comments?
Mike's right.
Okay,
Keep the same team
okay.
because they're doing a good job.
When you have 4 aces or 3 aces,
Yeah,
you don't discard.
right.
Okay, so I would ask then, I guess, someone who is, we can do, if there's no changes being proposed, then I think we can do a motion to just approve all 3 at once.
Yeah, we didn't do a roll call at the start of the meeting.
I didn't, because I didn't think anyone was online.
Oh, all right, yeah. I mean, well, there's one person online.
No, but I mean, I thought I only had to do that if the members were sitting online.
No, I just typically at the call to order, you say who's present, that sort of thing.
Yeah,
But
okay.
you don't have to. You don't, I mean.
I can. I just thought I thought we were only required to do the roll call if one of the board members was on the video conference, but otherwise we didn't have to.
Typically with a vote, but I feel like at the beginning of every meeting, we announce who's here, members say aye.
Okay, sure. I guess I will do that now. Okay, so before we vote or the election on officers, I will do a roll call, and if you can just confirm that you are present, that would be great. So, John Brescher,
Present.
Michael O'Mara,
Here.
Joe Marklinger,
Here,
Elisa Allen,
Here.
Lisa Botticelli,
Here.
Susan McCarthy here. And we don't have Mark Poor or Jim Mondiani today.
No, neither are present.
Perfect. Okay, so back to election of officers. If one of the,
Can we do that as one motion?
I think so. As long as everyone's comfortable, no one has any changes suggested, then I think let's just do it one motion instead of 3.
I guess you should probably ask if there are any other nominations.
Yeah, I thought I did. Are there any other nominations? No. Okay.
So
So someone has to make I'm not going to make a motion to vote myself, to approve myself. So I guess
I'll make
it's
the
up to
motion
Joe,
to
Lisa.
to keep the board as currently situated,
Okay.
with Susan as chairman, John as vice chairman, and Elisa as secretary.
Okay.
Can I make the motion as an
Sure.
alternate?
I think so.
Am I voting on this?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think for election of officers, yeah.
Okay.
The full
And-
board can vote.
And then, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, so Lisa makes the motion, Joe has seconded that. All those in favor of keeping the current 3 officers in term for another year, right? We do it every year? Say aye. Aye. Okay, so that motion carries. The officers will remain the same for another year. There are no minutes to approve today, so we can move on to, we have 2 issues under appeal that have been requested to continue to the August 15th meeting. Those are 1224 and 1824. Would someone make a motion? Oh, sorry, I'm sorry, my fault. I misspoke. There's one matter under the appeal category that is requesting to be continued to August 15th, 2024, and that's application 1224, the Siasconset Neighborhood Association LLC. If someone would make a motion to.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, so Elisa makes a motion to grant the continuance to August 15th. Would someone second that?
Second.
Okay, and we'll vote Elisa over on the continuance. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay, that motion carries. So sorry about this. So under old business, we have one application that's asking to be continued to the August 15th meeting, and that is application 18-24, 43 West Miacomet LLC for 43 West Miacomet Road. Would someone make a motion to continue that to August 15th?
So moved.
Okay, so John made the motion, Michael seconded. Again, Elisa over. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, so that motion carries. And then we'll go back to 1424. I just want to, under new business, there's also one application that's requesting to be continued to August 15th, 19-24. Stephen L. Cohen as trustee of the Area 51 Trust, 51 West Miacomet Road. If someone would make the motion to grant that continuance to August 15th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so John has made the motion, Elisa has seconded. Again, Elisa over. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, that motion carries, so that's continued. So those 3 are continued. We can now go to old business, application 14-24, John P. Pearl and Lynn C. Pearl as trustees of the John P. Pearl Trust 2018 and the Lynn C. Pearl Trust 2018, and David A. Jackson and Cynthia M. Jackson, 10 Main Street and 1 Gully Road. Attorney Sarah Alger presenting for the applicants. And Attorney Alger, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Congratulations on your reelection.
Thank you.
So at the last meeting, you requested that we come back with a plan showing the proposed subdivision. So we had Jeff Blackwell do a plan, which hopefully you have. It's showing a division exactly along the line of the current exclusive use area between the 2 units. So proposed lot 1, which is the Pearl unit, would have 2,648 square feet. The lot 2, which is the Jackson unit, would have 2,912 square feet. Obviously, these lots that are being created are non-conforming as to lot size, and the buildings are also non-conforming as to setback. The only new non-conformity that would be created by this plan, other than the lot area, is along the easterly, or I guess you could call that southeasterly boundary of lot 1. The Pearl building at its closest point at that basement access would be 3.76 feet. We could, if the board wanted, probably jog that line around that and make up the area if it was important. But I wanted to show exactly what was currently on the ground because we're not proposing any changes to that. At the last meeting, you also, I think, requested that both units be represented here by an owner. And so both Mr. Pearl and Mr. Jackson are here today representing their two separate units. And Julie Mead from the Siasconset Trust is here as well. You had asked for proposed conditions. The one that is in the staff report is completely acceptable, which is no changes to any of the structures without further relief from this board. The only other restriction that I could think of that would be meaningful is putting a restriction that the grant of the right of first refusal to the Siasconset Trust on at least lot 1 be a condition of the relief. And I don't know if you want me to go back through the presentation I made at the last meeting or if that's still clear in your minds. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Sarah at this point?
What's the special hardship?
The-
That's
the-
one of the conditions of the variance, right?
Right, of the variance. Well, first of all, I think I'm not going to lie, a variance is almost impossible to get in Massachusetts. I think we all know that. So it always requires a certain amount of creative bending. I think there are a couple of hardships in this case. First, the trust really wants to preserve the character of downtown Siasconset. And I think to acquire the Pearl unit and be in a condominium with a residential unit next door is a bit of a hardship and will probably impede their efforts to keep it just the way that it is. Also, the fact that they can't get the right of first refusal without the elimination of the condo is a second part of the hardship. And then, the third piece is that nothing is going to change. These properties are going to continue to be used as they have been. That could certainly be a condition. We're not going to see any additional building. Nobody's really getting anything out of this other than the elimination of a fairly awkward condominium, mixed-use condominium. And I think, the configuration of the lots, the configuration of the structures, all makes sense to do this. Keep the residential structure separate from the commercial structure.
Madam Chair. I went through our records. We only granted one variance last year. It was on Mattigat Road. The house was going to get swept away in the water.
Right.
So that I consider a special condition. But I can't, special hardship. I don't see that at this. I don't.
And I think
And I think that's what you need to have, and you don't have it.
Well, I think you were clear about that at the last meeting, Mr. Marklinter, and I don't agree with you, but I don't think I'm going to change your mind, so.
Elisa?
So the Siasconset Trust wants to be given first right of refusal, and they only want to give that if the two properties are separated and not don't exist as a
As a condominium,
condo.
right.
I see no problem with that at all. I think it untangles a web that isn't applicable anymore, and since it is a residential home next to a restaurant, sandwich shop, I think it does make sense and is very logical. Thank you.
And it's unique in the center of Siasconset. We don't have any other mixed-use condominiums.
Well, with the condition of keeping everything the same and no changes.
Right.
And no footprint can be increased anymore. essentially nothing changes except the technicality of
Of the
subtracting the condo aspect, I don't have a problem with that. And I can see how having it as a condo could complicate matters in the future with, you know, ownership and who decides to do what and getting approval from the other person. So I think in the long run, it's just a logical change. Makes sense to me. I don't see any downside.
Madam Chair?
Sure.
Sarah, I have a question for you. Just, so it is our understanding that Lot 1 will always be commercial.
That is the goal of the trust, and
So
we
if
can
it-
say that it won't, that the use won't change without them coming back.
Okay,
So
yeah,
it would stay commercial use.
yes.
If you're
I
concerned
mean, I
about
think
it,
that's really important because that's the whole
that's
reason
the-
for
that's the
doing this.
crux of the
So
whole-
I don't even know if I want to say that you can get it, it could ever change residential even if you come back and ask, because the board might change.
Right, that's
So-
fine.
I think having
mean,
that stipulated that it's always going to be commercial use, because that's the only,
The point of this whole program is to keep the commercial
Exactly.
nature of the core of Sconset.
right, which I appreciate. Obviously, you know, the world changes and nobody knows what's going to happen in 10 years, and somebody else might say, you know, I'd rather make that a house, and I just want to make sure that that's not part of this, because I don't think I would allow that to happen if it were not for the, you know, saving of the downtown of Sconset, which I think is very important. And I agree with Elisa that even though you are allowed to go to 1,500 square feet, but by zoning on the ground, I believe, because you're undersized, that there would be no increase in ground cover allowed.
No ground cover. And I think because we're doing this by variance, I believe that anything else is going to now require a variance going forward. So,
And I mean, Elisa, how do you feel about the lot line? I mean, I see the logic of putting it where it is. We are creating a nonconformity by granting this variance, which maybe isn't great. So well, they can switch the line so that it's 5 feet away from both of these points. It could just have a radius to it. And then we're not creating a nonconformity.
I don't have a problem with the way it is. I'm sure it's landscaped in this way right now.
it is.
Is there landscaping? Okay. There's no photos, so I don't know what it looks
Yeah.
like.
By the other day, it looks like that's naturally where the line would be, and
Yeah.
I don't see, I'm okay with it staying as norm.
I have another question. What authority will the planning board use to sign the plan?
They'll have to use the grant of the variance.
But is it A&R? Is it,
It's,
I mean,
yeah, it's an A&R plan based on the grant of the variance. It's that other
has there
category.
a lot of those happened in the past?
Have a lot of those happened?
Any?
Yes, they have happened, but it's not, this is not a routine
This is probably not
situation
a-
by
yeah.
by any stretch.
Right.
Thanks.
I'm just trying to think of any other place on Nantucket where there's a commercial unit in a condo with a residence.
Maybe where there's apartments above, you know, but not
Yeah, but not separate buildings.
separate buildings.
Yeah.
Right. I can't think of any.
I also think it's just going along that line, right? There is a condo association right now that tries to manage insurance, right? So you've got a commercial insurance policy
Right.
and a residential insurance policy. Then you have like the overarching condo insurance, which has to be tricky and,
It gets complicated,
yeah. Okay.
definitely.
Are we able to put a restriction on that the use remain commercial? Is that a viable condition that we can put on? Because the commercial use is pre-existing non-conforming itself,
No,
right?
it's allowed.
Oh, it's allowed,
I think
okay.
it's allowed now in the.
You're in
We're in a VN now.
Okay, because my worry was that I'm just trying to think through, like, if then the use was abandoned, then losing that grandfathering of it, but if it's in VN, okay. Okay.
Madam Chair, through you, to staff, it is in VN, is a primary dwelling allowed as a yes, or is that an accessory use in VN?
That's a good
Let me
question.
just check the use chart, because off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Was that the
of
issue that came up at town meeting, Sarah? Where there was something that came up and it was going to go to, and you brought up that single-family residential could only be used.
Yeah, I don't think that was VN, though.
It wasn't VN, okay.
It was another,
Odd
it
zoning
might have
district.
been one of the CIs, or
Okay.
it wasn't VN.
And just bear with me a moment, the internet's taking a little bit of time over here.
Sarah, how old are the buildings?
I'm sorry.
They're not old
So
enough for.
Not 50.
a primary
No, that's why they
dwelling
did the condo. I did it.
It's an accessory
is
use.
accessory.
It's an accessory.
An accessory dwelling is allowed. So these buildings do not go back as far as 1955.
That's what I was getting.
They're early, one is at least in early 70s.
Can you say that again, what you were saying about the VN, about the primary and accessory?
Oh, the buildings don't predate 1955.
No,
Oh,
about the use code.
one
the
of them
use
does,
chart.
one of them doesn't. So in VN, an accessory dwelling is allowed by right, a primary dwelling is allowed as accessory.
What does that mean when we're creating a lot with a primary dwelling that's separate?
It just is yet another nonconformity of this lot, along with its lot area and all the setbacks.
So even sort of regardless of the conditions on the variance, no matter what anyone does on this property, it's going to require further zoning relief.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to do anything.
Any alterations, whether it be use, structural change, you name it, they're going to come back.
Right.
Well, short of a zoning change.
Correct.
But they'll be able to like reshingle the house or replace windows, obviously,
And interior renovations.
and,
Right.
yeah, and upkeep and things like
Yeah,
that.
just if they want to
Right.
change the footprint
Yep.
or.
A
Right,
roof
Right.
line.
okay.
Yeah, that would be covered under
I'm in
maintenance.
favor of
And
that.
I don't even think, you can put the restriction on it, I don't think we could change Lot 1 to a primary dwelling because it would have to be accessory to something we couldn't do it.
Right, at this, yeah. Once you create it,
Once it's created, it's got to,
it's going to not be conforming and it won't be able to make that change without relief.
correct.
And lot 2 would be deemed as we'd consider a pre-existing non-conforming use then,
Yeah.
Yeah,
right? As the-
but
as a
it would
residential.
require a variance to change it, I think. Unless we went completely conforming,
Right.
right, which we don't want to do.
Which you can't do, right?
How could you do that?
You
How
can't.
could we go completely conforming? I mean, you could merge the two lots together and get rid of all the structures,
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
which we don't want to do.
Sort of defeats
I
the
wasn't,
purpose.
I wasn't thinking that far ahead.
I don't think
but
anybody was.
Yes, of course.
That's obviously not the goal. That is the opposite. In fact, that's exactly what we're trying to make sure doesn't happen.
Which of the buildings is older than 1955?
The
Claudette's,
building,
okay.
the front one.
I'd like to make a motion to approve with the conditions that we discussed, and I don't know exactly how they're worded. Do we have that already queued up, or do we need to do that?
So you would make a motion to approve the request as proposed with the finding that The proposed relief pursuant to bylaw section 13932 is consistent with the finding that the particular land subject to the requested relief has circumstances related to the shape or topography of the lots and structures thereon, but not affecting generally the zoning district in which it is located. A literal enforcement of the provisions of this chapter would involve substantial hardship, financial or otherwise, to the petitioner, and the desirable relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent or purpose of such bylaw, with the conditions that there shall be no further alterations or expansion of the structures on each lot without further relief from this board. The owners of the proposed lot,
Lot 1 is the
Lot
plural.
1 is, Lot 1 give a right of first refusal to be recorded with the Nantucket Registry of Deeds to Siasconset Trust. And that lot, proposed lot with two? Why can't I see that? Lot 2,
Road?
yeah,
It's lot 2.
Yep.
Lot 2,
Okay.
that Lot 2 on the, will we attach the site plan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lot 2 on the site plan attached as Exhibit A to the decision will remain commercial use.
No, that's Lot 1.
Sorry,
That
Lot
too
1.
is residential.
Madam Chair,
Yeah. Oh, sorry, there they are. Sorry, I was looking in the wrong place for the lot numbers.
if you all are leaning that way, I think with condition 1, we could say no further alteration or expansion of the structures and uses.
Perfect.
Okay, yeah, that's cleaner, thank you.
Madam Chair, before we get ahead of ourselves, I think we need to close the public hearing or make sure that there are no comments from the public.
Yep, thank you. And I also wanted to ask if we need to address, do we need to address the primary use, accessory use question? Or like or
mean that
or
we're
it's covered
creating-
in the uses?
I think it's covered.
Okay, okay. So we received, what, sorry, go ahead, Jen.
Actually, I'll ask through you, I'll ask Sarah, if we create this for the residential component, does the variance give it pre-existing non-conforming status, or does it just give it non-compliant status?
It does not create a pre-existing non-conforming use. It's just not,
It's just
it's,
non-compliant.
it's compliant, but by variance. So you
variance.
can't change it or do anything except by variance.
Right, so regardless, it's going to,
So it'll be
again, at
covered.
the end of the day, any
Any
type
changes.
of alteration, structural or with usage is going to come back to us.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make
It
sure we
doesn't
had-
confer any pre-existing non-conforming status,
Okay.
unlike the 4181Ls.
Right.
A nice try, Michael, trying to drag me into a discussion of fabricatory versus woody tash last couple weeks ago.
Okay, so we had, in our packet, we had some letters of support from the Siasconset Civic Association, 1 non-abutter and 6 abutters, all in favor. I know we have people in the audience. I don't know if any of you, would any of you wish to speak at this point? No, okay. And is there anyone online who would wish to speak? Okay. So unless anyone has any further questions for Sarah, we could take a motion to close the public hearing and then move forward with the motion that, and with the conditions that we just discussed.
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Okay. So Lisa's made the motion to close the public hearing. Michael, you've stayed, I think you stayed silent during this one. On the list of sitting board members, do you want to stay out of it just for keeping it clean? Okay. So voting on, so Lisa's made the motion, sorry, did you second it, Elisa?
Yes.
Okay. So to close the public hearing, so voting on this is myself, John, Elisa, Joe, and Lisa. So on the motion to close the public hearing, for those 5 people, if you are in favor of closing the public hearing, please say aye. Aye. Okay, so that motion carries. We'll close the public hearing and move to deliberation. So Elisa has made the motion, which we just went through. I can read it again if we need to. Does anyone, we don't have a second yet, but does anyone have any
I'll
questions?
second it.
Okay, so
Oh,
Lisa's,
sorry.
that's fine. All right, so Elisa's made the motion, Lisa has seconded it. Do we have any further discussion, or do we want to move to a vote? Okay, so, so again, it's myself, John, Elisa, Joe, and Lisa voting. All those in favor of the motion to grant the relief as requested with the findings and the conditions discussed, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so that carries 4-1.
Thank you very much.
That one's unbelievable.
Okay.
And I'm sorry you had to come here and just hear this one thing, but
No,
I appreciate it.
it's good to get it off of the docket because we have a lot in
I won't be
August.
sorry when August comes
Yes,
around.
exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. So that, I think, is it for us today. Our next meeting is August. We're gonna have a heavy docket. Okay. We don't know, but we'll just,
And
we'll,
Madam Chair, I just
Yes.
had a quick question for
Sure.
all of you. For the meeting on the 15th, we are going to have a fairly heavy load. I haven't advertised for it yet. I haven't looked into it yet, but would you all be available to start at, say, noon on that day, just to try and pick up an extra hour and get
yeah,
through whatever we can?
I think if we can,
I'll
Yeah,
have to
right.
clear it. I'll have to clear it with the town admin and a bunch of people, but I'll work on that.
okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be a heavy,
I don't know, it's like the auditorium during town meeting.
all right, so if there's no other matters to discuss, we could entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, so Elisa made the motion, John seconded. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Okay, so we'll see you August 15th.
Thank you.
Thank you.